Welcome, one and all, to your daily astrology horoscope. This is the Peace Dealer. We are at 13 degrees Cancer. Okay? And second decan of Pluto, the Awakener, the Transformer. This is for numerology breakthrough. And let's get it, okay? First and foremost, I just want to address this BS real quick because someone took my video yesterday. I was going off, I guess, on people who want to act like, you know, a certain someone isn't going to get reelected. And someone made that to mean that I was calling out David Palmer and his fans. Okay, so Leo King, that's my dude. That everything that I said was general. So, you know, please, please don't be making up fake beefs. We don't need that right now. And with the vein of this Neptunian energy, I'm not taking that too seriously because as of late, everything is made up even more so. I mean, we're seeing bias between Bernie Sanders going to Mount Rushmore and the news reporter saying, Bernie Sanders is going to Mount Rushmore with 4 great fine Americans who founded this nation. And then Donald Trump goes to Mount Rushmore and someone wants to spew this pseudo-liberal rhetoric like, oh, he's going to give a speech in front of 2 slave masters. And it's like, okay, could you keep that same energy? It's not just bias as much as it is people making shit up. Don't give in to fear. When people say don't give in to fear, that's not because we're weak or pussies. This is just matter of fact. Like, don't give in to fear. If you're reading stuff from the internet that's saying, oh, this is gonna happen, a bunch of people are gonna get shot and killed, and you forget that there are literal intelligence agencies that intercept this before you get it, like, I don't know what else to tell you, okay? Like, don't stop. Like, because the deception is only going to get stronger. So, like, please don't fall for the okie doke, because that really just wastes time, and people will do whatever they can to be relevant and just spread its information, but it's no excuse because you already know the truth. So please don't let opposing ideologies kind of get in the way with that. But Cancer is the zodiac sign of the patriot. And so a day like today, where this nation was founded, is evoking a lot of harsh sentiment, because you have indigenous people who feel, of course, obviously, that, you know, remember, Cancer is the sign of the patriot because it defends the home turf, right? So you have a lot of people who at one sense feel, fuck this fucking holiday because this land was ours before it was taken. And then you have certain people who are like, well, this land is ours now, bitch. So, like, if you don't like it, you can leave or go back to your reservation. And that's very, very inept to say, but that's the energy. Like, it's not politically correct. It's dark. It's very territorial. You know what I'm saying? And it's everything that's going to stoke the flames of civil war. But other than that, I really want to talk about the specialty of a day like today. First of all, we need to dead all this rhetoric about America not being a great country because of shit that happened in the past that still very much so affects what's going on now. It's pseudo rhetoric because while some of it is true, realistically, it doesn't necessarily apply. It's very understandable because, like, I have a very different view on nationalism and territories. I'm slowly but surely waking up to the fact that, you know, this republic, it isn't necessarily as bad as people want to make it out to be. And I've really been deluded for a long time into thinking, oh, America ain't shit. Like, these people just stole these people's land. And when you use language like that, it's ultimately misleading in a way that takes away the details. First and foremost, I don't think it's really debatable of the dark past and history of America. And so when you start to talk about it in a certain way that doesn't totally demonize it, like Trump, people start to think, oh, how can you defend something like that? But we need to put certain things in context because things don't necessarily stay the same forever. And the America that was founded is not the America that we're in right now. Once again, I have a different view on nationality and territory, because if you even bring in the astrology, we're entering an age where people don't identify with their nationality. We're one world, okay? So it's kind of hard for, like, I want to give you both sides to this argument because it's kind of hard to really be on either or. And the point of what I'm trying to make with this message is you don't want to get caught in those extremes. Try and look at things very objectively here. But one thing I want to dead is no matter how much you hate the history of America, to dismiss how it has grown with the contribution of immigrants that have now inserted their culture and have allowed for freedom for everybody, it's not only naive, once again, it's very misleading. You have a lot of people that really want to get stuck on past events that they did not go through. It's very, very important to take into account the actual testimony of people who witnessed slavery, people who witnessed racism, and can see a clear difference. Still there's microaggressions. Still there's prejudice. There will always be prejudice. There will always be racism, which is why fighting against it is a useless ideal. You want to seek rather truth and real practical end games, like in the case of Breonna Taylor. That's not a vague ass end game like defeat racism. It's actually very practical. Arrest the cops. But other than that, it's really weird because you have people that want to really go against ideals of freedom and liberty based off of old pseudo rhetoric to make you believe that this country isn't one of the greatest countries ever, even though their ability to say everything that they're saying proves that what they're saying isn't really true. As it's fact that there's certain places where you don't even have the freedom to express what you're expressing. Certain journalists can't even talk about certain leaders, or they're going to get, which to a degree, I don't even disagree with if such articles are treasonous and delude, the people of that country. But it's just something I really wanted to keep in mind and express, because like there's so many people making stuff up with this Neptunian influence, you're going to see that once again applied to this rhetoric. You're going to see once again red herring fallacies, strawman fallacies, people who are bitter, people who are just, like negative and can't really be progressive minded and forward looking to see how you can take a negative situation and transmute it and make it your bitch. These people are going to be using pseudo rhetoric that doesn't really apply to what you're going through now in order to color the image of an existence that has broken through a lot of dark shit as a collective that still needs a lot of work as a collective. I'm trying to say this message for those of you that struggle to have American pride. I don't want to really be that person to tell you like, oh, if you don't like this country, get out of here. You have to be proud of America. Honestly, I'd rather you be more in tune with who you are and not really and connect with the people of this country as someone who's true to you and true to them. I think that honestly is more of being an American than pledging allegiance to a flag. If you uphold the ideals of liberty that all our forefathers, immigrants included, continue. See, this is weird rhetoric that it's just white men that make the laws, but there's representatives of every color that we've, through progress and civil rights activism, broke through. So when you use that old narrative, it paints this misleading picture as if you don't have black Supreme Court judges, as if you don't have Hispanic senators, okay? And it makes it look like this country is still battling a racism that we really aren't. Because I can say from experience, there's certain liberties that I'm able to have now because people sat in those restaurants. And so for me to still act like the white man blocks what I can do is disrespect to W.E.B. Du Bois himself, that highlighted the hypocrisy of such, you know what I'm saying, thinking. And it's amazing how people can bring up such rhetoric and forget, you know, real leaders who corroborate the narrative that this is a great country despite its dark past. But once again, this isn't a commercial for you to be like, I want you to love America. This is really just about, because if we're gonna keep it real, all empires fall, and so we're actually looking at the last season of America. That's why, you know, this July 4th and the next 4 July 4th up to 2024 is very interesting, because you're going to see energy that mirrors the revolution that started this country. It's so ironic. It's so ironic, and it has a lot to do with taxation, ironically. So, you know, just keep that in mind. Don't fall into this like hate narrative. Be careful what you have pride in, because pride ultimately could be still a deadly sin. But as with this patriot Cancer energy, don't be ashamed to stand up for for what you believe in, whether that's counter rhetoric, whether that's the right rhetoric. It's about being sincere, and that's what constitutes this full moon, and that's what constitutes this boss battle, where you must have integrity in your position, because through that integrity and debate, you know, we'll really see who's talking about what. But this is where people get emotional, because most people don't really know what they're talking about, and they don't want to debate. They just want to get you to basically cater and coddle how they feel, because now we've become a country where it's interesting. Don't think that this is a Cancer attribute. Cancer is tough, but we become a country where like we have to care about how others feel so much at the expense of logic that, you know, no one really knows what shit is anymore, as they should. And so scientists, you know, give data and results that may clash with what other mainstream experts say, and, you know, people want to feed their confirmation bias instead of open their mind up with facts that might change their mind. So, you know, keep that in mind, because everything past this full moon is go time, baby. And this is one of the most incredible full moons of the country. I want you to think about how polarized this country alone is, and let this full moon opposition really illustrate that, between people who have integrity and are sincere, and people who are just fake as hell and ride whatever bandwagon and wave with identity politics, because they struggle so much to have an identity. They reject who they are in favor of pseudo rhetoric that just does nothing but mislead everybody. Okay, so whether you love this country or not, have some respect. The birth of this nation was around an imperialistic time where, I mean, if we're going to bring up slavery, we had the Arab slave trade way before this. So to frame, and that's not saying that, that's not excusing or justifying the slavery that happened here, but to frame it that it started here is not only misleading, but it doesn't tell the full story. And outside of that, there's certain liberties granted in this country that allow me to do what I do, and I couldn't do anywhere else really to this effect. And, you know, it's easy to point out the bad, but don't forget that you are a part of this country too, if you're a citizen. And it's not about what this country can do for you. It's about what the fuck you could do for this country. All right, y'all stay blessed as always. If you're an international audience watching from outside this country, you know I got love for you too. And yeah, prepare for that boss battle, because it's about who moves in integrity and who does that sincerely. You make one wrong move, Pluto's gonna kill you, and Saturn's gonna log it. So until next time,